God says, stay still. Don't move, don't scroll. Don't rush. Just pause for a moment. Take a breath. This moment is not a coincidence. You didn't land here accidentally. Something bigger than you guided you to this exact second. You may think it's just another random message, just another set of words passing across your screen, but God says, no, this is intentional. This is personal. This is for you. Life has been loud around you, but your heart has been quiet. So quiet that sometimes even you don't understand what's happening inside you. You feel exhausted, but you don't know how to explain it. You smile, but the smile doesn't reach your soul. You laugh, but somewhere deep inside, a part of you is crying. And God has seen all of it. You have been carrying so much. More than you admit. More than you show. More than anyone around you realizes. People see your face, but God sees your heart. He sees the weight you hide behind your jokes. He sees the tears you hold back because you don't want people to worry. He sees the nights you stare at the ceiling because your mind won't stop running. He sees the moments when you say, I'm fine, but you're not. And God says, you don't have to pretend with me. I know the truth. I know your pain. I know your fear. I know your wounds. There were days you felt invisible. You felt like nobody cared. Like nobody understood you. Like you were surrounded by people who looked at you but never truly saw you. And you got used to it. You learned how to hide your broken pieces. You learned how to laugh through pain. You learned how to survive alone. But surviving is not the same as living. And God says, I am not letting you live the rest of your life just surviving. I am preparing a season where you finally live. The reason you are reading this right now is because God wants your attention. He wants you to stop running. Stop stressing. Stop worrying. Stop doubting. Stop trying to carry everything by yourself. Because you've been trying to fix things that aren't even your job to fix. You've been trying to control things that are not in your control. You've been trying to hold yourself together when God is asking you to let Him hold you. God says, stay still. Because when you're still, you can hear. When you're still, you can see. When you're still, you can receive. Your problem is not that God is silent. Your problem is that your world is too loud. You're surrounded by noise, expectations, pressure, memories, fears, regrets, dreams, responsibilities. And in the middle of all this, you forgot what peace sounds like. You forgot what hope feels like. You forgot what rest means. You forgot what it's like to breathe without fear. But God says, I am restoring that. I am bringing back the peace you lost. I am bringing back the strength you forgot you had. I am bringing back the joy life tried to steal. People don't know what you've endured. They don't know how many nights you cried silently. They don't know how many times you were this close to giving up. They don't know the battles in your mind. They don't know how many times you wiped your own tears. They don't know the strength it took just to get through the day. But God knows. And God says, I am proud of you. You survived things that were meant to break you. You walked through fire and didn't burn. You walked through storms and didn't drown. You faced darkness and still kept a little light alive in your heart. And now, God says, that light is enough. I can work with that. I can grow that. You think you're weak, but God calls you strong. You think you're alone, but God says you were never alone. You think your life is falling apart, but God says it's falling into place. It's time to understand something important. The pain you went through wasn't punishment. The delays weren't rejection. The silence wasn't abandonment. The losses weren't failures. Everything had purpose. Everything had timing. Everything had meaning. God didn't let certain people stay in your life because they couldn't go where He's taking you. God didn't let certain plans work because those plans would have destroyed you. God didn't let certain dreams come true because He had better ones waiting. You think you lost things, but God says, I was clearing space. I removed what was harmful. I removed what was distracting. I removed what was temporary. You cried when people walked away. But God says, they had to. You broke when situations collapsed. But God says, I needed to rebuild you. You questioned why nothing worked out. But God says, you deserve more than what you were asking for. And now, He needs you to be still enough to receive the blessing He's sending. Because what's coming is not small. It's not ordinary. It's not something you can earn by effort. It's something only God can give. Something that will make you say, it was all worth it. Something that will make your past make sense. Something that will heal every part of you that life tried to destroy. God says, I am not done with you. I am not finished with your story. I am not letting you go. I am not giving up on you. So don't give up on yourself. You've spent too much time being strong for everyone else. Now God wants to be strong for you. You've carried enough. You've suffered enough. You've waited enough. This is the moment where the shift begins. This is the second everything starts changing. Not because you forced it. Not because you begged for it. But because God says, now. So stay still. Stay calm. Stay open. Stay hopeful. Stay trusting. Because what's coming is more than what you prayed for. More than what you dreamed of. More than what you think you deserve. God is about to surprise you. God is about to lift you. God is about to heal you. God is about to restore you. God is about to rewrite your story in a way that will shock everyone who doubted you, including you. And God says, this time, you won't cry the same tears. This time, you won't lose what I give you. This time, you won't break like before. This time, you won't walk alone. So don't move. Don't rush. Don't fear. Something divine is unfolding in your life. Something sacred. Something powerful. Something beautiful. And it starts right here. Right now. With these words. With this moment. With this stillness. God says, Stay still. The miracle is already on its way. God says, you were never meant to break in this place. You were never meant to collapse where you are standing right now. This season of your life was not designed to destroy you. It was designed to wake you up. It was designed to strengthen you. It was designed to pull out the version of you that you forgot existed. You think you're lost, but God says you're being led. You think you're stuck, but God says you're being positioned. You think everything is going wrong, but God says everything is unfolding exactly the way it must. You've been pushed to your limit. You've been stretched in ways you didn't expect. You've been shaken so deeply that even the things you thought were stable suddenly felt fragile. People you trusted disappointed you. Plans you built collapsed. Dreams you held close slipped from your fingers. And every time something fell apart, you felt a piece of yourself fall with it. You wondered if you were cursed. You wondered if you were unworthy. You wondered if you were destined to struggle forever. But God says, you were never cursed. You were being crafted. There were moments when you stood in front of the mirror and didn't recognize yourself. Not physically, but emotionally. Spiritually. You looked at your reflection and felt a disconnect. You saw a face that was tired, but still trying. A heart that was hurting, but still beating. A soul that was bruised, but still standing. And God says, that strength inside you is not accidental. I put it there. I built you stronger than the battles you face. You think the storm came to drown you. But God says the storm came to cleanse you. It came to wash away the people who were never meant to stay. It came to remove the things you were holding on to too tightly. It came to strip away the illusions you believed about yourself. You didn't lose anything valuable. You only lost what was blocking your blessing. You only lost what was too small for your future. Sometimes, God has to break your comfort to build your calling. He has to shake your stability to show you the foundation that never moves. He has to empty your hands so he can fill them with something better. You asked him to change your life. You prayed for things to get better. You cried for a sign. And God says, this is the sign. This breaking is the blessing. This discomfort is the delivery. This shift is the start. You don't realize how close you came to settling. You almost settled for the wrong person. You almost settled for a life beneath your potential. You almost settled for a door too small when God was preparing a gate. You almost accepted a half-love when God wanted to give you a whole one. You almost buried your dreams because life got too heavy. But God says, I didn't let you settle. That's why things didn't work out. That's why certain people couldn't stay. That's why some paths closed brutally. Not because you weren't enough, but because they weren't meant for the greatness inside you. There's a reason you feel things deeply. There's a reason your heart is different. There's a reason your sensitivity feels like a burden. God says it's not a weakness. It's your gift. You were designed with a heart that can love hard, break hard, and heal hard. A heart that feels wounds deeply, but also feels miracles deeply. A heart that can notice what others ignore. That kind of heart comes with pain. But it also comes with purpose. A purpose that's bigger than anything you've lived yet. You don't see it, but heaven has been watching your journey. Every night you cried silently, God counted every tear. Every prayer you whispered in exhaustion, He heard it clearly. Every time you thought no one cared, He cared. Every time you thought no one saw, He saw. You were never unnoticed. Not a single second. Even when you felt invisible to the world, you were fully seen by God. And that's why He didn't let you break permanently. Yes, you bent. Yes, you fell. Yes, you cracked. But you never shattered. Something inside you refused to die. Something inside you held on even when your strength was gone. And God says, that was me. I was holding you. If life had gone the way you wanted, you would have ended up somewhere your soul didn't belong. The person you were becoming needed this pain. Not because you deserved to hurt, but because you deserved to grow. You were living small. You were loving small. You were dreaming small. You were accepting too little. God knew your value long before you did. So He had to reroute your life. He had to remove what wasn't worthy of you. He had to protect you from futures you were blindly walking into. And yes, the process hurt. Growth always hurts. Transformation always stings. Healing is never gentle. But pain is a language. And God was speaking loudly through it. He wasn't saying, suffer. He was saying, change. He wasn't saying, lose. He was saying, let go. He wasn't saying, you're alone. He was saying, trust me. At some point, you felt like you were losing your mind. The overthinking became unbearable. The pressure felt like a weight on your chest. You replayed conversations. You questioned decisions. You doubted yourself in ways you never had before. You thought you were failing. But God says, that was your spiritual awakening. You outgrew mindsets that once comforted you. You outgrew behaviors that once protected you. You outgrew people who once mattered to you. And outgrowing feels like breaking. But breaking is how light enters. Breaking is how truth enters. Breaking is how you finally see things clearly. God says you weren't supposed to stay broken. You were supposed to rise. Stronger. Wiser. Braver. Softer. Kinder. And more aligned with who you truly are. The version of you that's emerging is powerful. And it scares the darkness that tried to kill you. Your perseverance is dangerous. Your resilience is threatening. Your faith, even when fragile, is unbreakable. Everyone who hurt you will wish they treated you better. Everyone who underestimated you will be shocked by your rise. Everyone who walked away will realize they left someone irreplaceable. But God says your revenge is not their regret. Your revenge is your transformation. Your healing. Your elevation. Your peace. Soon, you'll understand why you didn't get the apology you wanted. Why they never came back. Why things ended the way they did. God says, their chapter in your story is over. Not every person is meant to be permanent. Some are lessons. Some are warnings. Some are reminders. And some are just temporary shadows in your eternal journey. But what's ahead of you is not temporary. God says He's preparing something permanent. Something stable. Something blessed. Something holy. Something that will calm your soul. Something that will restore every piece of you. Something worth every tear. Something worth every delay. Something worth every night you asked, "Why me?" And soon, that question will change. It will become, "God, why did you bless me so much?" But God already knows the answer. Because He never planned for you to break here. He planned for you to bloom here. He planned for you to be reborn here. He planned for you to rise from this exact place. Not weaker. Not bitter. But chosen. Prepared. And unstoppable. This is not your downfall. This is your turning point. This is the chapter where everything shifts. This is the moment heaven begins to move for you. God says, "Hold on. Stay still. Don't give up. What's coming will shock you. What's coming will heal you. What's coming will change everything. And this time, nothing will stop it." God says, "The battles you fought silently are not forgotten. The world didn't see your tears, but heaven did. The people around you didn't notice your breaking point, but God did. Nobody saw the way your hands shook when life hit you too hard. Nobody saw the way your heart begged for a break. Nobody saw the way you prayed while fighting your own mind. But God saw every second. Every breath. Every moment you held yourself together when everything around you tried to pull you apart. There were days when you smiled outside and shattered inside. You sat among people but felt alone. You laughed at jokes that didn't reach your soul. You helped others heal while your own heart was bleeding. You carried everyone else's pain while your own pain had no place to go. You stayed strong for people who didn't even ask, while no one stayed strong for you. And God says, "I counted every tear you hid from the world. And I am about to return every single one of them as blessings." You have been fighting for so long that struggle started to feel normal. You forgot what peace felt like. You forgot what rest felt like. You forgot what it felt like to breathe without heaviness. But God says, that season is ending. I am shifting things in ways you cannot see yet. You are entering a chapter where your pain will finally make sense. A chapter where your wounds will turn into wisdom. A chapter where your scars will become strength. A chapter where what was meant to destroy you will be the reason you rise. You thought God was silent. But He was watching. You thought God was distant. But He was closer than your heartbeat. You thought God wasn't answering. But He was preparing. You aren't delayed. You aren't forgotten. You aren't lost. You're being positioned. God says everything you survived was necessary. Every heartbreak. Every betrayal. Every disappointment. Every lonely night. Every confusing season. It all shaped you. It all prepared you. It all made you capable of carrying the blessing that's coming. And yes, God says a blessing is coming. Not small. Not ordinary. Not something you can explain casually. No, something life-changing. Something shocking. Something powerful. Something that will make you say, God, this was worth every tear. You've cried enough. You've heard enough. You've been patient enough. Now it's time for restoration. Now it's time for divine favor. Now it's time for God's promise to unfold. But first, let's talk about the wounds you don't speak about. The ones you carry deep. The ones that shaped you quietly. The ones that kept you awake on nights when you should have been resting. The world hurt you in ways that words can't describe. You trusted people who used your heart. You loved people who didn't know how to love you back. You showed loyalty to people who didn't deserve access to you. And you kept forgiving people who repeated the same pain over and over again. But God says, I didn't let those people stay because they were temporary. You were building a lifetime with people who were only meant for a season. Their absence broke you, but their presence would have destroyed you. You didn't lose them. God removed them. He saw conversations behind your back. He saw intentions you couldn't see. He heard things they said when you weren't around. He noticed every lie, every manipulation, every selfish intention. And before their actions could damage your soul permanently, God stepped in. He says, I protected you from what you thought you needed. You felt abandoned, but you were being rescued. You felt rejected, but you were being redirected. You felt betrayed, but you were being blessed. Because God will never take something away without replacing it with something better. You cried for the wrong people, but God is sending the right ones. You prayed for the wrong doors, but God is opening better ones. You begged for the wrong opportunities, but God is creating divine ones. Your life is not ending. It's transforming. The loneliness you feel is not punishment. It's preparation. God isolated you so He could elevate you. He separated you so He could bless you without interference. He hid you so He could heal you in peace. He took you away from people who distracted you from your destiny. People who drained your energy. People who didn't value your worth. People who didn't deserve the heart you carry. God says, you are entering a season where the same people who doubted you will say congratulations. The same people who ignored you will need you. The same people who left you will regret it. But God is not doing this for revenge. He is doing it for redemption. He is showing the world what happens when He stands with someone who never gave up. You think everything is falling apart, but God says everything is falling into place. Sometimes He breaks your heart to save your soul. Sometimes He delays your plans to protect your purpose. Sometimes He closes doors because you're too precious to walk into the wrong ones. And sometimes He lets you lose what you wanted so you can receive what you truly deserve. And let's talk about that mind of yours, the one that overthinks everything. The one that replays mistakes. The one that magnifies fears. The one that imagines worst-case scenarios. The one that exhausts you more than life does. Your mind has suffered. Your spirit has suffered. Your peace has suffered. But God says, peace is returning. A gentle, quiet, healing peace. The kind you've prayed for. The kind you haven't felt in years. He is calming the storm inside you. He is silencing the voices that tell you you're not enough. He is healing the memories that haunt you. He is lifting the burdens that make your chest heavy. He is restoring your confidence. He is renewing your faith. He is rebuilding your spirit. Everything that life tried to break inside you, God is putting back together. He says you are not behind. You are not late. You didn't miss your chance. You didn't ruin your destiny. You didn't lose the future meant for you. Divine timing is real, and you are right on schedule. Even your delays were sacred. Even your detours were designed. Even your failures were filtered through God's protection. You don't need to chase anything that's meant for you. You won't have to beg for it. You won't have to force it. You won't have to fight for it alone. Because what's yours will come with peace. What's yours will come with clarity. What's yours will come without confusion. And what's coming for you is something the enemy can't block. Something no person can stop. Something no heartbreak can ruin. Something no mistake can disqualify. God says there is a breakthrough coming that will erase years of pain. There is a blessing coming that will shock you. There is a miracle forming that will leave you speechless. There is a shift moving toward you that will feel supernatural. And when it arrives, you'll finally understand why the waiting was long, why the nights were heavy, and why the journey felt lonely. He says, hold on. Your story is not ending in sadness. It's rising into glory. Your tears were seeds. Your pain was planting. Your struggle was shaping. And now your harvest is coming. This is not where you fall. This is where you rise. This is not your ending. This is your becoming. God says, your silent battles are about to be rewarded loud. God says, what tried to break you will become the very thing that builds you. You thought the pain was the enemy, but the pain was the architect. The tears were not a sign of weakness, they were a sign of growth. The heartbreak wasn't your ending, it was your awakening. Everything that shattered you was silently shaping you into someone stronger, deeper, wiser, kinder, and more powerful than you've ever been. You didn't come this far to fall apart now. You didn't survive everything you survived just to remain wounded. God says, you were made for more. Much more. There were times when you asked God, why does this hurt so much? And He stayed silent. Not because He didn't care, but because the answer was still forming inside you. Sometimes silence is protection. Sometimes silence is preparation. Sometimes silence is strength being built quietly in places no one else can see. You think God was absent during your hardest moments, but He was the closest. Standing right beside you as life tried to break you. Holding you steady when your own knees couldn't. Whispering hope when all you heard was fear. You have no idea how many battles He fought for you behind the scenes. How many dangers He blocked. How many betrayals He removed. How many fake people he revealed. How many wrong paths he closed. You saw the rejection, but you didn't see the rescue. You felt the loneliness, but you didn't see the protection. You lost people, but you didn't see what they would have done if they stayed. God says, I didn't take anything from you. I removed the things you were never meant to carry. That heartbreak? It was saving you. That betrayal? It was redirecting you. That disappointment? It was teaching you. That delay? It was positioning you. That loneliness? It was awakening you. You questioned your worth because people mishandled you. You doubted your heart because others didn't know how to value it. You forgot your brilliance because you were surrounded by people who were threatened by it. But God says, let me reintroduce you to yourself. You are not average. You are not forgettable. You are not replaceable. You are chosen. You are divine. You are being sculpted into someone who will carry more purpose, more depth, and more power than you realize right now. You are a warrior disguised as a wounded soul. And God says He is turning your wounds into weapons. Not weapons to hurt others, but weapons to protect your purpose. The things that once made you cry will soon make you strong. The things that once confused you will soon become clear. The places where you once felt broken will become the places where your light shines brightest. People don't know what you went through. They see your strength now, but they don't know the storms behind it. They admire your calm, but they don't know the chaos you walked through. They notice your resilience, but they don't know the nights you whispered, God, please get me through this. They praise your courage, but they don't know the fears you had to fight alone. But God knows. And He says, your struggle is not your shame. Your struggle is your strength. There were days when you carried pain so quietly that even the closest people around you had no idea what you were going through. You became your own hero. You became your own comfort. You healed wounds you never admitted aloud. You rebuilt parts of yourself that others broke without apology. And you kept moving forward even when your heart stayed behind. God says, that strength was not accidental. I planted it in you long before the storm arrived. You think this is the end of your story, but God says this is the turning point. You are walking into a season where everything begins to make sense. The confusion will fade. The pain will settle. The heaviness will lift. The wounds will close. The anxiety will loosen. And your soul will breathe again. You thought your best days were behind you. God says they haven't even started yet. The rise that's coming will be so powerful that it will erase years of sorrow. The joy that's coming will be so deep that your past sadness will feel like a distant memory. But before God gives you what you deserve, He will show you who you are. You're not the broken version you remember. You're not the fearful version that life created. You're not the insecure version other people made you feel like. You are stronger than your past. You are bigger than your trauma. You are brighter than your darkness. Everything you survived has unlocked a stronger version of you, one that will shock even you. God says the ones who doubted you will watch you rise. The ones who hurt you will watch you heal. The ones who left you will watch you be chosen by better. The ones who underestimated you will watch you succeed in ways they never imagined. The ones who broke you will watch you glow. This is not revenge. This is revelation. This is God revealing who you truly are, and let's talk about that heart you carry, that soft, deep, loyal heart. People didn't deserve it. They misused your kindness. They took advantage of your forgiveness. They mistook your love for weakness. They thought they could play with your emotions because you loved deeply. But God says your heart is your superpower. Not everyone can love like you. Not everyone has your capacity for care. Not everyone can handle emotions the way you do. You weren't weak. You were rare. You weren't desperate. You were devoted. You weren't broken. You were human. God says, I am sending someone who will value everything others took for granted. Someone who won't run when things get heavy. Someone who won't fear your depth. Someone who won't misuse your softness. Someone who will love you in a way that feels safe, calm, and steady. Someone who will understand you. Someone who will choose you without hesitation. Someone who will give you the love you always gave to the wrong people. You didn't go through all this pain for nothing. God is birthing something inside you, a new version of yourself, a new chapter, a new purpose, a new destiny. And yes, it will shock you. It will shock everyone connected to you. You will rise higher than expectations. You will become stronger than your suffering. You will shine brighter than your darkest nights. God says, the future I have for you will erase the footprints of your past. You are not going backward. You are not returning to